What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com. I'm here with Michael Cohen from JS Online and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Michael, your piece on Russ Ball, I got to say, very impressive in that this is probably, as you wrote, one of the most important people in the franchise who nobody really knows. The guy hasn't spoken publicly, is kind of kept away from the press. What was your takeaway speaking to basically everyone around the man rather than the man himself?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway was probably something very simple, which is I spoke to just under 3 dozen people for this story, and every single one of them said not only do they like Russ, but they think he's a tremendous guy, a great family man, all these kinds of things that don't necessarily translate to being good at your job. But how often can you talk to more than 30 people about any individual and not find anything negative about him whatsoever? I was shocked. I mean, people describe this guy as friendly, outgoing, smart, loyal, dedicated, just every kind of thing you'd want in anybody, a family member, a friend, etc. And you couple that with the intelligence and the skill set that he has to negotiate contracts, to manage the salary cap, to oversee 7 different departments within the organization on a daily basis. And you have a guy that it's no secret why the Packers want to keep him. It's a guy that's tremendously skilled and probably somebody that they would struggle a little bit without.
You talk about his skill set. You mentioned negotiating the contracts in your second part of your kind of two-part series here on Russ Ball. You mentioned a lot of the agents kind of, I guess, uniformly saying, kind of that he has a process that he goes through. Was there anything there that surprised you? I know Packer fans like to kind of make fun of the franchise for kind of always coming in low early on, and it kind of bore out in your reporting.
I think the thing that jumped out to me was that Ted has absolutely nothing to do with the negotiations themselves. As I said at the beginning of the story, he's the guy that gets criticized every spring, every March, every free agency
Right.
for being so frugal and so closed-fisted with his wallet. But in actuality, when the negotiations themselves are happening, he does not speak to the agents whatsoever. It is 100% Russ Ball using parameters and numbers and things that have been laid out by a number of people, including Ted Thompson. So to me, it was just kind of ironic in that way that fans get so angry and so fired up about Ted Thompson, and then he's actually not even involved in the discussions at all once it gets past the point of deciding what they want to offer. It's all Russ Ball, and that goes to show you not only Russ's importance in to the organization, but also Ted's ability to trust him on just about everything. And Ted gave me a great quote, and he basically said that he thinks the approach works well with Russ sweet-talking people and him saying absolutely nothing. So that gives you an idea of what the negotiations are like.
Well, speaking of Thompson, it's been widely reported that his contract goes through the 2018 draft. Lots of speculation about who might be next to sit in that chair. What do you think the chances are that Russ Ball might be the guy tabbed by Mark Murphy?
I don't think he would be the front runner if you went to a casino and wanted betting odds on these guys. And that's why I sort of described him as a dark horse candidate in the story I wrote, because I don't think it would be a shock if he got the job, but I also don't think it's better than maybe a 30% chance that he gets that position. I think that in terms of overall qualification and experience in all areas of an organization, he's probably the most well-rounded candidate. But the bottom line is that general managers tend to be personnel guys by and large. And you look at Elliot Wolf, you look at Brian Gutekunst, you look at guys like Dorsey, you look at Schneider. These are the guys that are making those roster decisions. And if the Packers simply decide that they want a roster-based guy to be general manager, Russ doesn't fit that bill regardless of what his qualifications are. So he's a viable candidate, but he might not be the type of candidate that they end up looking for.
Makes a lot of sense. Excellent work, Michael. Great stuff. Make sure you check out Michael's latest on Russ Ball at PackersNews.com.